Hello, this is TLV with 100,000 diamonds plus, and this how I'm coding my Arcane Frame Quarry here. And I'm back where we left off. I forgot to save there for a second. The depth variable, depth, and the xMOVE here. And let's make, so if by defining a 0 here, we make this an integral. By doing like this, we're making a string. But in Lua, in this coding language, a string can very easily become an integral and vice versa. So you don't have to worry about strings and variables that much actually. They can easily be changed. So that's actually quite comfortable. So we want some user inputs, right? We want how long it should go in x coordinates. X, let's call it x distance. Call it 0 here. Then y distance. Then I want a counter to measure with, to check if the distance criteria is met that we're gonna use inside the program. Let's call it x temp. I want a y temp, very similar to what I did in fourth. So now we've got some variables here. Let's go back into xMOVE. So this frame quarry, when it starts digging, since it's a 10 by 10, for example here, this is not code, I'm just writing, it's a 10 by 10 quarry, right? So the minimum, if I just wrote I want to go one dist in x and one y, the minimum thing this quarry can dig, it's still 10 by 10. So whatever you do, you're always going to dig 10 by 10 as a starting point. So here in xMOVE we want to set the x, let's call it movement x. Movement x here. Let's call this x temp. We set it to 10. So what this will do is that if we put in a distance less than 10, it will just dig down and it shouldn't do anything else. So let's make sure that we do this. So let's first, I'm not gonna code all the directions that I did last time. I'm gonna code some directions, like left, right maybe, and forward, backwards I will do off camera. So slightly different than the fourth coding tutorial. So it will be slightly faster here. So we got the digger function ready. Now let's do the x coordinates here. So let's make a conditional statement here. So these are the directions, right? But we haven't defined directions yet. Okay. So we want one direction for x and one direction for y. So whatever you choose here should be put into the xMOVE here, should be taken in. So just stick with me here, don't get confused. It's gonna make sense in a little while. Let's call it x dir. It's a string. And y dir, it's also a string. These are for user inputs later, but we haven't done any function for user input. But we don't have to worry about this. And actually what I will do later is that in the function where you put your user input, if they're not equal to these directions, I will check for that with a while loop. So we don't have to worry about while loops, etc. in these codes. We don't have to do any debugging, like have a while loop that always runs in the xMOVE to check if left, right, or F or B, if the user wrote one of these. We will do that in another function. So that function will actually check if it's true or false for the whole program. So everything we have to worry about is that this runs as we want to. So we want this to run. Let's make for the first direction here, if x direction equals to left, then. So if the user puts in left, I did a tab there to make the code look a bit nicer. Then we want to run, so this is if you write left. What happens when you write left then? We want to do a while thing here. Let's see here, while, what did we do? X distance. So this is about X. While X distance is equal, I can't, I have to change the language again. Fuck me. Is bigger than X temp. Oops. Fuck. There we go. Do. What this while loop will do is that it will only run this while loop while X distance is bigger than X temp. The X temp we start at 10, right? So if you only want to dig 2 to the left, it will not run this while loop here. So that's very good to know. But if you put in X distance, that's a user input. If you write like, I want to dig 50 by 50, so that's 50 to the left, then that's definitely much bigger than X temp. So it will run this while loop. And then we want to use the digger here. Digger. So now I'm just calling for this digger here. That's not how I wrote that. Get digger. I'm calling for this function within this function. You can do that. So it's very handy. Then we want a for loop here. And this for loop will move into new position. So this whole digger will dig everything down to bedrock. If this depth is what we want. Let's don't write depth here for a while. We set depth to 0. Let's do 600. Through my testing I found that 600 seconds or 10 minutes, 300 seconds are 5 minutes, and 600 seconds is 10 minutes. That will dig down to bedrock. So sleep for 600. Time until bedrock. Nice. And we do the get digger. Now this digger is finished. Now we want to move into new position. So let's make a for loop, because we always want to move 10 steps, right? For I equals 1 to 10. Do. Alright, so we want to set the RS set one build output back. Let's take the next color in the order, orange. That should be our left. Sleep for I think 3 seconds is pretty good. A frame motor moves basically 1 second takes for one motor to move, so 3 seconds should be enough for both motors to move with our Arcane Frame Quarry. And then I just want a safety backup here. So one the output back to 0 again. Not needed again, but I don't want it to crash. Sleep for 0.5 maybe. So this will turn it to orange. It waits 3 seconds, then turn it back to 0, then sleep 0.5 here. We might change this code later when we want to combine this with the arcane board that digs sideways. But for now, this is gonna do the trick. So once it has done this, we want to increment xtemp here. +1. Okay, find the plus. I have to change keyboard layout again. Plus. So every time it runs this for loop, it will increment x with 1. So we have to think about this. So look here. While x distance, this can be 100 for example. If the x distance is 100, it's gonna wait until x temp gets to 100. And it's doing the digger, and then it moves this 10 times. X temp 10 times. So let's see if I can explain it here with the mouse maybe. If the distance is 100, the xtemp will be 0. Then it runs the digger. It moves 10 steps, 10 blocks. And the xtemp gets to 10. Then x distance is still 100, and xtemp will be 10. And digs up and dig down again. Then xtemp will be 20. Still smaller than x distance. It will just digger and digs down again. That's what we want. But if we write an uneven number, for example 25, it will not check for that, because this only runs 10 times at a time. So let's make something that checks inside the for loop as well. A conditional statement here. Come on, please. If x distance and xtemp is the same, then we set the xtemp back to 0 and return 0 here. Else we do nothing. Oh, we gotta end the loop. Then we want to end the while loop here. So we'll do return true. Return true will just straight go out of the loops here and end this this whole function here. So that we go. We've got an if statement here. Let's make it look a little better. There we go. So let's see. Now we want to end this for loop. Make sure that they're lined up here so it's easy to see what we're actually closing. End the while loop. There we go. So x is set back to 0 because this will run so many times. The y movement is going to be slightly different. Alright. Very nice. So that's basically it. So now let's, for example here, I can do else if. So that's for if another choice has been made. Not left, but right, for example. Then we do else if x direction. So let's do this one more time quickly here. Equals right, then. We're not going to need the xtemp here, we just need this code here. Right? Oops. So it will be the same. While x distance is bigger than xtemp, do. So as long as it's bigger, it will do this shit. Oh, get the digger shit. Come on now. And go into the for loop. That will actually move the whole thing 10 spaces to the left, right? 10, do. Oh, I got a phone call. I'm confused at the moment. So this is gonna be different here. Set bounded output. I have to fix this later. I don't want to change the keyboard layout all the time. Why can't I figure out where this one is? Here. Ah, there it is. Korean keyboard is so different. Okay, I want to check this to colors dot magenta. In brackets here. Ooh, I just see that I made a mistake here. We want to call for the API here, colors.orange, colors.magenta, sleep 3, and then we just set bundle output on the back again to 0, just to be sure, and increase the xtemp to xtemp +1. So we're just doing the same code here as we did before. So I will only do this one more this time, and then we'll go into the next step. Because the rest of the code is just gonna be, for all the 4 directions, just gonna be the same. So no need to show that. If xtemp equals x distance, then first reset the xtemp. Why do we need to reset the xtemp here? If we don't reset this xtemp, then the next time, for example, if this is a bird's point of view from above here. We dig down all the way here. This is like 60 blocks, 60 by 10, all the way here, 50 or 50 or something. And then the xtemp will be 50. And then we will go into the Y movement and go maybe upwards, whatever we choose in the program. And then it should go backwards this way. But the xtemp will already be too much then. So it won't make sense. We have to reset the xtemp for this whole portion here. Because the xtemp has run what it's supposed to do. 50 this way, 50 this way, 50 this way, 50 this way. The Y movement is different. It has to wait. So the Y movement is gonna only run 10, 20, 30 upwards. So we should not reset the Y movement when we come to that place. And we'll turn true again. Else nothing. We end it. We end the for loop, and we end the while loop here. Holy fuckers. Else we probably don't need that shit. We don't. Yeah, we don't need it. I need to end the if. I can make it down here. End the if conditional statement here. Well, we don't even need an else here because we're gonna define that in her coordinate program. We're gonna check for all inputs over there. So we got the X movement here. Now we're gonna do the Y movement. So let's see here, I'm gonna define it. Let's first make a comment here. End of movement X. Function Y move. Y move. Yeah, why the fuck do I wanna move? And we'll see in the next program what this one will do. And this will also take all the inputs. So very handy here. Left, right, forward and backwards. This will come together later and you will see. And when I'm done I will also upload it to Pastebin if anyone wants it. It's much easier to share and distribute the code than Red Power 2 computers. Save, right? Saved. Exit. So these computers are of course have some benefits over the Red Power 2 computers. I'm gonna make these maps later as well, but I'm gonna make them look better because you see where the cursor is here? In computer craft it's very easy to determine where cursors should go, etc. So we'll look into that later. Let's continue with the Y move in the next episode. Bye for now.